All right, y'all. We are live. We're about to get right into a lot. We got a lot to cover here, guys. We got a lot to cover. Potential imminent World War III scenario playing out, guys. World War III scenario. We got Iran apparently conducting naval drills with Russia. As of today, we've seen the largest fleet that America has deployed to the Middle East since the Iraq War. And Donald Trump seems like he's obviously, Donald Trump's obviously compromised by the Epstein files, and they're pretty much just holding him into account and dragging him into this situation with Iran, which is very unfortunate because he's already losing the midterm, so his entire presidency will be tainted, and I think he's pretty much cooked. I mean, there's no coming back from this if he does pull the trigger. He might try and, do a little spectacle like he did last time and end it. But we all know that Netanyahu's not going for it. Neither is his Zionist donors that he took hundreds of millions of dollars from. So let's take a look at the what we got going on here. Again, there's a lot of different information coming out as far as like what exactly has been deployed. We know the USS Lincoln is down there. We know that our Gerald R. Ford is apparently speeding to the Middle East. So this is the pretty much the U.S. CENTCOM air and naval assets here that we know of thus far. So you got the 9th Squadron Carrier Air Wings. You got the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group. You got the Gerald R. Ford with another 9th Squadron Carrier Wings. You got the air assets here. You got naval assets, illustrative Tomahawk, land attack missiles, loadouts. You got a third of the U.S. naval fleet deployed to Iran. So they don't do that unless they know some shit's going down. And unfortunately, guys, I hate to put it there, but this is what we will see. Okay, a lot of coffins coming back because Iran has prepared itself for this attack for several years, right? So Iran's been preparing for this situation for decades because they've been talking about toppling Iran since the 80s. So it's a do-or-die situation for Iran, and apparently they have enough to just let everything loose, let everything out, and really damage America's position in the Middle East. You got to understand, like, these bases in the Middle East are pretty much American military, strongholds within that region that allows them to have some sort of influence on the general political landscape / hegemony over that region, along with Israel, right? They use Israel as like a proxy, or I think I'm pretty sure it's the other way around nowadays. But Israel's definitely America's asset there, and if Israel's gone, America's gone, right? They're out of the Middle East. So a lot of people always say, "Oh, why are they always tied to Israel?" And the reality of it is, Israel ensures that America maintains hegemony over the Middle East, okay? Whether, it's done, obviously it's done militarily. It's like what Hezbollah is to Iran, They're even more tied in. So if Israel's out of the Middle East, America's out of the Middle East. There's no coming back, And apparently, Iran just has enough to destroy Israel. All right, so Trump did the Border Peace Initiative. So he does this Border Peace Initiative, and you know Trump's doing what Trump does best, which is tell us a lot of stuff, but basically amounts to nothing. And so you know he'll dance around the question whether he's going to attack Iran. You know he's not very straightforward. Obviously, he's doing the regular Trump bullshit. We're gonna get into a video here where he allegedly gets caught on a hot mic. Typical Trump. All right, he gets caught on a hot mic, and he admits that he's gonna attack Iran. Right. He snoozes. Look at him snoozing.
Thank you. The Minister of
Trump doesn't even know what's going on. And this is the hot mic here. Let's take a look at it right here.
Are you considering a military strike? Yes.
Says, are you considering a military strike? I guess, yeah. Just the level of just incompetence of this guy is ridiculous. I think they need to invoke what is it, Proposition 20 or 22 or whatever it is, where he's mentally unstable to serve as the president, because you know he's obviously not he's not functioning there up 100%, guys. He's like he's Biden, but like he's more, you know, he's like a lying Biden. Like he's just as bad as Biden, guys. Okay. Everything that Biden was going to do for Israel and the Zionists, Trump is doing for Israel and the Zionists. And again, Netanyahu says it best, right? Trump is my best friend. Trump is Israel's best friend. Why would he say that? Because they have the most shit on Trump, right? They got videos of him on Epstein's Island. They got videos of him doing, you know, certain things that'll land him in jail. I mean, he almost went to jail. Who saved him? He damn near almost went to jail, and they elected him. You know, like so Trump is not. Believe me, guys, Trump is not. He doesn't have all the cards, man. And you could tell, like, he's recently been struggling with how to approach the Iran situation. Let's get into so this is the Iranian leader here saying that they're going to sink all the aircraft carriers that Trump sends to the Middle East. Let's get into this video here. So again, Iran's not fucking around at all.
مرتبا میگه رئیس جمهور آمریکا که ارتش ما قوی ترین ارتش دنیاست. قوی ترین ارتش دنیا ممکنه اونچنان گاهی سیلی بخوره که از جا نتوانه بلند شه. میگن ما ناو فرستادیم طرف ایران. خیلی خوب، ناو البته یک دستگاه خطرناکی است، اما خطرناکتر از ناو اون سلاحی است که میتوانه این ناو رو به قعر دریا فرو برساند. توجه فرمایید. رئیس جمهور آمریکا در یکی از صحبت‌های اخیرش گفته که 47 ساله که آمریکا نتوانسته جمهوری اسلامی رو از بین ببره. شکایت کرده به مردم خودش. 47 ساله که آمریکا نتوانسته جمهوری اسلامی رو از بین ببره. این اعتراف خوبی است. بنده میگم تو هم نخواهی توانست این کار رو بکنی.
Yeah, so again, guys, a lot of people are definitely not understanding the ramifications of this whole situation, man. All right, guys, we're gonna get into this interview here with Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee. We're gonna get into this interview because Mike Huckabee just exposed himself to be a literal moron.
We're about to play you an interview we did with U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, 2 days ago in Israel. In general, it's never worth talking about the backstory behind an interview. It's kind of not the point. It makes it about the interviewer, not the person being interviewed. For one thing. For another, it's not that interesting most of the time. And for another, it's kind of off the record. You know, the other person hasn't consented to you telling the story. So in general, we don't do that. Who'd want to hear that? Let the interview speak for itself. But in this case, we want to tell you just a few things about how this interview came about because they are.
All right, let's see what this is. Oh.
Doesn't like nuclear proliferation.
All right, let's get it.
And I don't think he wants Iran to have a bomb. I think he really sincerely means
I hope
that.
you don't want them to have a bomb.
Want them to have a bomb? I don't want anyone to have a bomb, including Israel. I don't know why we're okay with Israel having nuclear weapons. I'm not. I'm not okay with Pakistan having them. I'm not okay with Saudi having them. Israel's nuclear weapons were created, of course, with nuclear material stolen from the United States, from a nuclear plant in Pennsylvania, as I know you know. I'm opposed to all of it. I don't like nuclear weapons. It's mass murder, as far as I'm concerned. So no, I don't want Iran to have a bomb, obviously. The question is, what are the potential costs? And you have to factor that into any decision. And
what are the costs if they were to get a nuclear bomb? They've said for 47 years, death to America.
Well, I don't think
they target us.
I don't think Israel's...
They've targeted President Trump specifically.
Yeah, I mean,
they've hired a person to assassinate him.
Iran, BBC, and Hamas not defending him.
Good.
All I'm saying
we're in agreement on that.
Our country is not thriving, and we're spending, tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars over time defending Israel and helping it prosecute all.
Do you know where that money goes?
It goes to a lot of places.
Oh, but let's talk about that a minute. $3.8 billion a year. That money goes right back to the U.S. to purchase weapon systems. For example, every round of ammo that the IDF shoots is manufactured just outside where I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. The components, a lot of them for the Iron Dome and the Arrow 3 missile defense systems are manufactured near Camden, Arkansas.
Which needs it, by the way. Camden's economically depressed.
You know the area.
I do.
And there are thousands and thousands of American jobs, and there are billions and billions of dollars of expenditures that Israel makes in the U.S. and buys the things that we try to sell them.
I know how defense contracting works. I'm from Washington.
Okay.
No, I know this. I guess what I'm saying is America's not thriving at all. And
you think it's Israel's fault?
I don't think it's Israel's fault.
Okay, well, good.
No,
because I think
I just think that what we're doing isn't working at all. And America's not richer.
I think the president is doing some amazing things to get us back on track.
I'm not attacking Trump.
Okay.
I'm merely saying that over, say, the last 20 years, America's not gotten richer or freer at all. And I come to Israel and the infrastructure, we were flying in, and I said to my buddy, I was like, man, first of all, it looks great. I love the agriculture in Israel because it's just beautiful. I love green. I love plants.
I remember when it didn't look like that.
Yeah.
First time I came here 53 years ago,
It's great.
it did not look like that.
Great. Looks a lot nicer than our country. And it has higher standard of living. It has nicer roads than the United States. And so it's like, okay, why are we sending all this money to a country that has a higher standard of living than ours?
I don't know that they have a higher standard of living.
They do, actually. They have free health care. They also have free abortion. Are you okay with that?
I personally don't like that.
Why would we be subsidizing? Why would we send any
We're
money?
not. The
Why would
money
we
that
send any money to a country that provides free abortion?
Because the money that we send does not pay for health care. It does not pay for abortion. It pays for
It's all
military
fungible.
things.
It's like if they don't spend it on this, they'll spend it
But
on that.
they do spend it on that, and then we get many more times back in the return on the investment when
Why
we
don't
get
we
the
say
research
we're not
and
sending you
development.
any more money as long as you have free abortion?
Well, that would be a policy decision. I
Would
would
you be
o-
for that?
I would be okay with it because I hate abortion. I think it's horrible.
How much do you hate it?
I hate it
Why
a
are we
lot.
sending them money if they're paying for free
Because they're not
abortion?
paying for abortions with the money. And because we, in turn, get billions of dollars. The return on investment is estimated somewhere between 400 and 1,200%.
I've heard these numbers. I just live
Yeah.
there, and I know. And I'm, by the way, I'm for American manufacturing. The defense industry is totally corrupt and seedy, as you know. However, I like to see American companies thrive. Like, it's complicated. I'm not an extremist or an absolutist on really anything other than abortion. However, net, as we say, our country's not really thriving. And
Look, man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I honestly don't agree with the whole notion that America gets nothing out of Israel, right? Let's just be honest. Like, Israel is America's strategic ally in a very unstable region. They do get a lot of intelligence sharing from Israel, selective intelligence sharing to the United States. They get military positioning all throughout the Middle East, certain trade routes, energy markets. Like, the fact is, Israel's military dominance over the Middle East helps America get away and negotiate certain things with different actors in the region, whether it be price per barrel for oil, other trade routes, energy markets. A lot of stuff comes from the Middle East. So if that wasn't there, America doesn't really have much leverage and negotiating power, and you might get China or Russia and these other players have a more dominant role in the Middle East. Right now, that's just, from what we know, America is the dominant superpower that has the most influence in the Middle East, whether people want to admit it or not. Right? Russia tried to sneak in through Syria. That didn't work out. And the biggest obstacle for them right now is Iran, because Iran is the only country that's not doing business with the U.S. You got to look at the countries that aren't doing business with the U.S. and these countries. You got to look at the countries that don't have a Rothschild banking system, in their countries. They're not. So those are the countries that are deemed enemies of America and the West, right? Because America can't continue to have this hegemony if they can't, surpass China and Russia and North Korea and Iran and these actors, if they come together and form their own shit. If they form their own shit. Because let's just be honest, the dollar isn't backed by shit, right? If we go back to the gold reserves, Russia has the most gold. Some African countries have a lot of gold, right? That's why they took Gaddafi out, because he said, you know what, I'm going to try to impose a gold standard economy in Africa, and these motherfuckers freaked out because the dollar is nothing, man. It's just fucking, it's shit. It's literally maintained through military dominance. It's maintained through alliances that are very fragile now, especially with Europe and some of these countries. So I don't agree with the whole notion that, America spends all this money on Israel and gets nothing back. They get some shit back, right? But the issue is, does Israel have America's best interest in mind? Or are they selfish and only care about their own interest in the Middle East, and that's where the issue is. Do they use and abuse America? I believe they do, right? I believe if they could dispose of America, they'll fucking do it. They'll go to India. They'll go to some of these other developing countries. So, you know, if the Jews take all their money and go to India with it, you know, you're going to see a whole different, you know, you're going to see a whole different America, man, the next day. Not the Jews, the Zionists. You know, so that whole notion is just stupid to me.
We're also totally
But
broke.
why is that the case? Is it because we've done a lousy job controlling our borders, a lousy job of controlling
It's
our
lots of
economy?
things.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But we own that. I think President Trump is doing remarkable things to turn it around. I cannot imagine
not
any
attacking
president.
Trump.
I know, but if you're saying the country is in trouble, let's
saying
give
we're out of
credit-
money, actually,
let's
is
give
what I'm-
credit to what the president is doing to get us out of debt, because I think that what he's doing economically.
I'm not supporting
is
Hamas,
astounding.
and I'm not attacking Trump.
Okay.
Just with those baseline agreements. It's also true that, like, our debt is not sustainable. And so given that, like, what do you think it will cost? What did it cost to move the fleet off Iran into the Persian Gulf?
A lot less than it would to bury a lot of Americans if they ever got a long-range ballistic missile. A lot less.
Yeah,
Tucker, I want you to understand that when Iran has told us for 47 years they're going to kill us, do you think they would do it if they had the capacity militarily?
What would happen if Iran took out any of the energy facilities in the Gulf, or took out a bunch of them? What would happen to the United States economy, do you think?
Well, our economy probably would survive because we have energy independence thanks to President
Who
Trump.
would survive?
Our economy is
What would
based
happen
on our
to
own
markets?
energy.
What do you think?
It would be a terrible thing to happen globally. It's why Iran is a global threat. It's why Iran, through its proxies, Tucker, this is another thing. People
They're
think
not
Iran,
blowing up energy infrastructure right now, but if
here's-
we try to regime change them, they have said that they will. I don't know if they will or not.
I don't
but
either.
Is that a risk that?
But they have their own problems to defend if they try to do that and they lose their own
But
energy
are you
capacity.
worried about? So if they took out, and I don't know what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess we're not supposed to think about worst case because that makes us pro-Islamic or something. But I'm an American, and I don't want a depression in our country. It's too fractured and unstable right now. I don't think we want that at all. Okay,
None of us want that. None of us want that.
Not right now. We don't. Not at all.
No, I
When
don't
you've
want it.
got-
I don't want it next year, next week, 10 years
Especially
from now.
now, all these states are basically in a state of insurrection against the federal government. They're not enforcing the most basic law of the land, which is immigration.
And thank goodness President Trump is pushing back and
I
he's
agree. I'm just saying,
seeking to force
if all of a
that
sudden
compliance.
markets just tanked and gas tripled or whatever, and you had, like a severe recession or something worse, that's a massive cost. And I don't see anybody factoring in that possibility. Iran has said it will do it. You've said 10 times they're evil. Okay, I believe
Yeah.
you. Then why wouldn't they take out the Qatari gas fields they share with Qatar, or refining, petrochemicals, extraction in any of the Gulf countries? That would cripple us. Are you worried about that?
Energy-wise, again, we have independence because President Trump put measures in place that gave us the
Do
capacity.
we set international energy prices in the United States?
In some ways, we do because our own market and our own production has a whole lot to do with what those world costs are going to
If
be.
you took Saudi energy production or Qatari energy production or Emirati energy production
And
offline,
that is making an assumption that if there were regime change, that they would be more effective at attacking than we would be defending. And that's a pretty
can we defend the Straits of Hormuz? Can we defend all of that energy infrastructure? Is anyone even asking these questions, or it's all like a Mark Levin episode where we're like, they're bad?
They are
Okay.
certainly asking the questions. That's part of the whole
I'm just
process.
saying, I've raised this before, and it's like, shut up, Carlson. You're taking money from the jihadis. I've never taken a dime from anybody, obviously. I just care about the United States, and it freaks me out, and no one else seems worried about this.
Then caring about the U.S., you should care about the fact that the proxies of Iran have moved globally. 12 Central and South American countries have Hezbollah deeply embedded. Venezuela, one of the worst. They're in the Western Hemisphere already. Do we know how
Where
many?
would you rank that on the like list of concerns for the average American? Hezbollah in South
I doubt if
America.
most Americans think about it. I think about it because I know what they do. I know that if it weren't for Iran there wouldn't be Hamas, there wouldn't be the Houthis, there wouldn't be Hezbollah. We wouldn't have the problem on the border with Lebanon. We wouldn't have the problem with Yemen. We wouldn't have the
problem on the border with Lebanon. I'm an American. I'm not having any problems on the border with Lebanon.
What a fucking
I live in
liar.
Maine. We don't have problems on the border of Lebanon. Like, what are you even talking about? No offense.
There's 700,000 Americans who live in Israel, for one thing. Does that matter to you?
Well, of course, every American
Okay,
life
well, good.
matters to
Every
me.
life, you say, matters the same, so that should matter. When
But
they start,
my country, like,
when
I'm
they
just
start
saying, like,
shelling civilians and civilians get killed and displaced, that should matter to all of us.
but I mean, there's a genocide going on, like, in all kinds of different countries. There's a lot that's sad and broken about the world. We know that as Christians, Satan rules the world.
Mm-hmm.
But our job as, like, members of a nation state is to look after our community, our
100%.
families, right? So I don't think any of the concerns that you've just raised, which I think are all real, I'm not disputing them at all, are even in like the top 100 for Americans.
think
so how
that
can
Iran-
the U.S. government be spending this much time and money worrying about things that are not on the list of Americans' concerns? Do we have self-government? Does it matter what Americans actually think, or doesn't it?
Of course it does, but it also matters
How much does it
what
matter?
the threat is to Americans. Do you think there's a threat to Americans because of the proliferation of the proxies in Iran? who for
Conceivably there
47
is.
years-
I'm
But-
not
but-
pro-Iran.
But beyond conceivably, do you think that they mean it
We've
when
got
they
a
say
threat
for
from
47
drug
years?
cartels like in my town, and no one's doing anything about it at all.
You
And
don't
I'm
think
hearing
the
a lot
president's
about
doing anything about that?
Okay, see, this guy, he's a Zionist propagandist. Like, this is the common bullshit rhetoric they talk about. Oh, you know, Iran's proxies are bordering us. They crossed over to the United States, and they're this huge threat. While most of Iran's proxies are actually resistance groups, you know, they're just resisting occupation from Israel and greater Israeli expansionism and U.S. hegemony over the region, dictating, you know, their policies and who could rule and etc. The fucking reality is, if Iran attacked the U.S. energy infrastructure, guys, it'll heavily disrupt Middle East oil supplies, oil prices spiking globally. Gas prices would rise, inflation would increase even more than what it is now. The stock market would drop short term. And really, economic growth would just be slow, high energy costs persisting, and could possibly put us in a depression. Tucker Carlson is not bullshitting when he says that, right? But you know, the fact of the matter is, and they know that, and they don't give a fuck, okay? Because the individuals that are obsessed with Iran, they're doing so because Iran strategically, for the United States, okay, for it to maintain its global superpower dominance over the world, which is very fragile at the moment, and to continue having the dollar reign supreme, they have to do that by military dominance. They can't have Iran threatening Israel militarily, or the United States, or any of these countries like China and Russia. They've already lost Ukraine, Bagram, Afghanistan, they lost it to China. Iraq, they lost it to Iran. So America took a bunch of L's, which is putting in a very bad position as far as the future of America's global dominance. And if all these countries that are defectors choose to flip and stop using the dollar altogether, you know, America is going to be in deep shit. So they have to put it this way: the dollar can't survive if America's not in a constant state of war and imperialism. Okay, that's just the reality. And so what this fucking clown won't tell you is that, yeah, they will attack Iran, and there will be all these economic ramifications and all this bullshit that's going to happen, inflation and gas prices. But they have to do that, you know, in order for the United States to continue being a global superpower and not have to pay off their debt. That's the whole fucking thing. They don't want to pay the debt. Okay. America is indebted trillions of dollars that they don't want to pay and they can't pay. So what better way to, how do you, if you have a bully, you know, for example, that takes your fucking money and you're like, hey, give me my money back. You know, he's not going to just hand you the money. He's going to be like, no, I'll punch you in the fucking face, right? Same thing going on with America. They're pretty much telling all these countries, like, no, we're not paying you back. We'll punch you in the face, a.k.a. we'll blow you the fuck up. So that's what this fucking clown, Mike Huckabee, tends to leave out, you know, and a lot of these Zionist propagandist guys, they leave out a bunch of the ramifications associated with a lot of this stuff, man. And unfortunately, it looks like it will. It's coming soon, unfortunately, guys. We saw Trump admit it. And
One of high.
And one thing that this guy is doing, if you've noticed, Trump it looks like they're more comfortable with releasing the Epstein files now, because he's believe it or not, guys, Trump's heavily implicated in those files. Yeah, man. It's just sad. You know, it's looking like a sad state of affairs, guys. You know, right, fine. Then, you know, I think Lindsey Graham big UAV special. Yeah, guys, the UAE is a Israeli vessel. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but the UAE is definitely an Israeli vessel. The UAE is Israel. Let's put it that way. Okay. Don't get it twisted. Those countries like the UAE, Morocco, Jordan and some of these places, they're all ran by CIA agents. Which is why they were the first to join the Abraham Accords. That's the sad reality. Yeah. Moronic sellouts.
What the threat?
All right, let's see what else this moron talks about, man. Fucking idiot. These fucking Zionists are insufferable, man.
That you've just raised, which I think are all real, I'm not disputing them at all, are even in like the top 100 for Americans. So how can the U.S. government be spending this much time and money worrying about things that are not?
I asked you a question a little bit ago you never got back to, because I think it's an important one. Because one of the things that I sense a tension with you, you feel like that we do too much for Israel, we're getting nothing from it. And I ask you, how many?
No, I don't think we're getting
how
nothing
many
from it.
boots on the ground has the U.S. placed on behalf of Israel?
However many went to Iraq. We did that for Israel.
No, I don't think we did.
But you said we did it because of 9/11?
That was the U.S. justification for it.
But it wasn't for
that-
9/11. So what was the actual reason?
Well, that's the U.S. government told us it was for 9/11. They told us that they were part of it, that they had weapons of mass
But
destruction.
they knew they had
Remember all
nothing to do
that?
with 9/11, obviously.
Maybe
There's no
not.
evidence.
But I'm
so
telling
what
you
was the
that
actual
Israel was
reason?
not in that component. But
Israel
here's-
had no influence on our decision to invade Iraq. That's not what the people who made the decision say. They say Israel
Well, let me get back to the point.
gave us that information about the fake weapons of mass destruction. Where do you think that came from? It came from Bibi.
How many Americans put their boots on the ground for Israel? The answer is zero.
Everybody who served in
Zero.
Iraq
That's
put
not
their
true.
boots on the
No,
ground
they
for
didn't.
Israel.
Did not.
Where did we get the information about the weapons of mass destruction that wasn't real?
We didn't get that from. You're saying we got that from Israel? That Israel was one pushed us into that?
Well, absolutely.
You really believe that?
I know that for a fact.
For
and
a
so does
fact.
every. Yes, this has been widely written about and discussed. And I'm not attacking Israel. Like, they thought it was in their interest to take out a government that was paying the families of suicide bombers. I get it. I'm not mad at Israel about that. I never have been. I'm mad at the Bush administration and all the people who went along with this to the detriment of my country. That's who I'm mad at, not Israel. Bibi's doing what he can for his country, whether you agree with him or not. I want my leaders to do the same for my country. That's it.
I think the present leadership is doing just that. I truly do. And I don't think that it's at all accurate to even intimate that tiny little Israel is pushing the U.S. into something it does not want to do.
Our leaders appear to want to do it. Our public does not want to do it at all. The public does not want war with Iran. Bibi does. He's gotten seven trips to the White House. The average American
the question would
doesn't,
be,
hold on. The
are
average
they gonna-
American doesn't have that level of access, and a foreign leader does. 7 in 1 year, and now we're moving toward war with Iran. The average American doesn't want that war. The average American is outraged. Don't you understand?
I
I'm not
understand that
attacking
we
Bibi
have
at all.
the
I'm
strongest president I've ever seen in my lifetime, going back to Eisenhower, for
for a
gosh
second.
sake.
If you're an American-
No, listen to me, Tucker, for gosh sake.
I'm not attacking Trump.
If
I
you're-
like Trump.
I know, but you're making it sound like that he is being pulled into something that he really doesn't want to do, or pulled into something because he's persuaded.
I'm
I've
neither
been in the
saying that
meetings.
nor
I
implying
was in the meeting last week. I was in the meetings last summer. I can assure you, President Trump is not being led into something at all by
be clear,
Prime Minister Netanyahu.
To be clear, I'm neither saying that nor implying it.
Good.
What I am stating out loud is true, and that's that Prime Minister Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu, has way more influence over Americans' foreign policy than Americans do. And we know this because he wants a war with Iran. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't want a war with Iran, and we're very likely to get a war with Iran. So who has more influence, Benjamin Netanyahu or 80% of Americans? And I'm saying that's outrageous. That's all I'm saying.
I would counter that. Bibi Netanyahu does not want a war with Iran. To say that he wants a war, you know who's going to be at the very front of that? His people. And I don't agree with that. I'm with him enough to know he does not want a war.
He doesn't.
Does he think that there may be a necessity of taking a war in order to prevent an attack on not just Israel,
I
but
don't
on
want to
the
be
United
argumentative,
States?
but I think I know too much. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. Okay, so there was, Steve Witkoff, in my opinion, is just a sterling guy, just a good guy, excellent
good guy.
That's my view.
Yeah.
And kind of pro-American and just couldn't be nicer and wants to do the right thing, and he's probably Trump's best friend. He and maybe Jared too are involved in a negotiation with Hamas.
Mm-hmm. Or you mean with Iran?
With Iran.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And the Israeli government short circuits it by hitting Iran. So, like,
What do you mean they short-circuited by hitting Iran?
they did everything they could to shut down the negotiations between the United States, the Trump administration, and Iran. And look, they're acting again in their own interest. But our country should also act in its own interest. That's all I'm saying. And so don't tell me that Bibi doesn't want a war with Iran.
He doesn't. If Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff could be successful in getting the president's demands And keep in mind, these are the president's demands.
What are those demands?
No enrichment, no nuclear weapon, quit killing your own people in the streets by the tens of thousands. You and I both agree that it's a horrible thing to kill your own citizens, which Iran is doing.
It's a horrible thing to kill anybody's citizens.
Anybody's citizens. We agree on that.
Except if they're 14-year-olds working for Hamas, but
No,
whatever.
It's still a tragedy.
No, it is. Sorry, I'm being a jerk. Okay.
You really are being a jerk.
I am. I know.
You are being
I know.
a jerk on that.
I am such a jerk.
I'm going to write down.
You're right.
Tucker
You're right.
Carlson
You're right.
admitted.
I know.
He's a jerk.
Oh, I am a
Okay.
jerk. Everyone
All
knows that. I mean, I'm really trying. Okay.
Okay.
No, but I agree with you 100%. Of course, it's a tragedy.
If that could be done, and I pray it can.
Yes.
And you know why? Number one, because it would be wonderful for everybody. Number two, if there is a war, you're going to be 6,000 miles from it. You know where I'm going to be? In the bullseye. Do I want there to be a war? No. Do Israelis want there to be a war? No.
Okay, man. Geez, like I don't know where to start with this guy. Like he's just a fucking liar. You know, the reality is, yeah, Israel is heavily influencing negotiations. They start and stop based off of decisions made by Israel. Okay, and there's no benefit to going to war with Iran, especially if, you know, we've had a history of losing these type of wars, these forever wars. That'll just put a big smile on China's face, okay? Because the real threat is China, guys. The real threat to America is China. Iran, not so much. Iran's more of like a Chinese ally, supposedly, quote unquote. You know, they're not necessarily, you know, China's not going to crash out for Iran, but they do depend on its oil market, and they lost a lot of that through the Venezuelan removal of Maduro. So they're very dependent on Iran for certain things, and so China would not want a pro-Western regime government working in Iran, because essentially that'll weaken China's economy if, you know, they have a pro-Western, you know, country, pro-American country running in Iran. That'll likely you know, geez, that'll likely, you know, be a situation where, you know, China's backed into a corner, right? And Trump could tariff the shit out of them, you know? Because the reality is, let's just be honest, China does not have as many allies as the Americans do. China has no allies, really. You know, they say Russia's an ally and this and that, but China's a one-man show, you know. They're very powerful, but they don't have allies that are going to crash out for them. Neither does Iran, really, except their proxies in the region, and maybe Russia might intervene militarily, but it's highly unlikely. But they will do everything in their might to ensure that the regime in Iran stays without fully intervening into the conflict, right? But you'll have Russian troops on ground zero, you know, coordinating certain things, and China is going to send Iran weapons. Why? Because they want to test their weapons on the Americans. Like, if they ever go to war with America, they want to test some of their weapons, like they did with Pakistan and India, right? And they shot down, I don't know how many F-35 fighter jets, and they had to call a truce within like 24 hours because they're like, the Indians were losing all types of fucking jets, you know, millions of dollars in the trash within 2 days. And Pakistan was using a lot of the Chinese air defense systems, the fighter jets, a lot of the Chinese equipment. So China's using Iran essentially is like, hey, this is our kind of like our test, you know, this is where we're going to test a lot of our shit on the Americans in case they go to war with us. We know what and what's funny is, what's funny is the B-2 bombers that apparently that fell through that targeted Fordo. Some of them were unexploded, and Iran was able to obtain those, and they're able to recreate some of that technology now, or at least they have the ability to, and they will share it with their allies, those against America. So, look, they got it figured out. They know that this is going to be a quagmire that the Americans aren't going to be able to get out of. You see the foreign minister, he goes to these meetings and interviews, he has a big smile on his face because he knows that this is not going to work in the favor of the Americans. They're in a corner. They need to act. And Western hegemony is in that region is coming to an end. Unfortunately, it's just coming to an end. They had their 200-year run, and don't get me I don't want to have China as like a superpower. Just being honest with you guys, I don't like the communism. I don't like how some of the things they do, as far as suppression and speech suppression, and they had like these weird one-child policies and stuff like that. Like, these communist countries are not something that I'm a fan of, nor do I want as a superpower dictating certain things. But the reality of it is, you have idiots like this guy Mike Huckabee telling the Americans that we should support a war on Iran versus going after China, and China is going to use Iran as like a launching ground for it's like an experimental. It's going to be like an experiment for them. How good are our weapons? And yeah, it's just something that this is just this scary, man. What can go down? Guess we gotta wait and see, man. I guess we gotta wait and see. Oh, God. All right, y'all, man. I'm